Hi everyone, welcome to day 69 of Project 365. 69, good times. Anyway, this is like my fourth time trying to record this video, but now that I have a list of notes ready for what I want to talk about, let's get this started. Alright, so, this is going to be my final response to those Second Amendment loving idiots. I'm sick of you guys, really. I've responded to you as much as I can, and I've given as clear of an argument as I can, but apparently you guys fail to understand what I'm trying to say, so I will try one last time to state it, and I will hope that this gets through to you. Obviously, you're not going to listen in the first place because you love your gun too much, and you're obviously trying to overcompensate for something, but hey, that's just my opinion. First of all, the Second Amendment does not talk about concealed weapons at all whatsoever. It talks about raising a militia. This was put in place back in the 1700s because, if you know anything about your history, the Articles of Confederation were far too weak and did not allow the government to raise an army, let alone the states. So, many states, when they were ratifying the Constitution, felt that it was necessary for the states and the government to have its own military. Also, this does allow people to carry a weapon. However, the need to carry a concealed weapon is not necessary. Much like in the times back then, and it is now. It is not, and as it is now, it is not necessary for you to have to carry a concealed weapon in order to stay alive. There are plenty of other alternatives that are safer and much more accurate in trying to attack your target. Second, if you need a gun where you live, you should probably relocate because, well, quite frankly, you're stupid for living there. If you're willingly putting your life at risk to live in a certain area, you probably deserve to die. Thirdly, potential threats are just as viable as any actual threat there is. In our daily life, we are constantly analyzing whether something is a potential threat or if it's an actual threat. When you try and cross the street, do you not look both ways for a car? That's because you're looking for potential threats. So the fact that I'm putting the idea that people carrying a concealed weapon as a potential threat does not make my argument any less viable than your argument for people being able to be able to carry concealed guns. So please, before you start getting all high and mighty, really think about what you're trying to argue. Fourthly, you've obviously never lived in an area where concealed guns are the norm. Look at areas with high, dense populations and gang activity. There, concealed weapons are quite popular, especially guns. For those of you who know me, you know that I lost a friend in a drive-by. You know how, and yes, admittedly, that might be a potential cause for my dislike of guns, but if you look at areas where guns are constantly concealed, there is a higher death rate than where guns are not allowed or regulated properly in the first place. Fifthly, gun fear conditioning does not exist. If you're not afraid of a killing machine, something is immensely wrong with you. That or you're extremely masochistic, and, well, that's debatable whether or not you're sane in the first place. But to say that being afraid of a machine, a tool that is used for killing people, is stupid. The fact that you can believe such a thing makes you much stupider than you already appear. Sixthly, whatever, I don't care. This is my opinion. Just because I choose to pursue a sane and rational approach to gun control as opposed to letting everyone else and their mom own a gun, does not give you any right to try and belittle my opinion. Just because you don't agree with me does not mean you have to reduce yourself to ad hominem attacks that are ineffective in the first place and often make you look stupider than you really are. So please, remove your head from your ass and then try and talk and think. Then these are the last 2 points. You're working under the assumption that everyone is a perfect shot. As I've said before, it's been proven that those who are being shot upon generally have their accuracy reduced greatly. I don't care who you are. You can be a perfect shot at the range, but as soon as you're being fired on and that fight or flight hormone takes apart and your adrenaline is rushing, you become a horrible shot. I'm sorry. And as I've said before, I think my right to not have a bullet in my head far supersedes your right to own a concealed weapon. And lastly, this goes along with the idea that potential risks. Even with proper regulation, even if you have bi-monthly psychiatric exams, monthly license testing, there is always that availability for something to go wrong. And if everyone is owning a gun, odds are it'll go wrong more often than not. You're looking at a population of 300 million people, roughly, and that was an old estimate. I wouldn't surprise me if we're way higher now. Odds are, the amount of deaths related to guns will skyrocket once everyone has the ability to own a gun, and that's not including those who aren't even registered. So please, as I've said before, think before you speak. Because you obviously have not taken time to take into consideration the threats and the lives that you would be putting at risk by allowing concealed weapons to be legalized in the first place. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Hopefully these people will leave me alone because I am sick and tired of having to deal with them. I could easily just not respond to them, but I'm getting sick of them leaving these snide remarks, acting as though they're so morally and intellectually superior because they want to be able to own a gun and overcompensate for something they are obviously lacking otherwise. That being said, question of the day. If you could own a concealed gun, would you? Why or why not? I'm actually curious to see what you guys are thinking. So, that is it for today, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.